what I've been writing about all these years and talking about all these years is happening. But the point of putting it all out over the last 31 years was to alert enough people to stop it manifesting. Although, to be fair, it was obvious to me a long time ago that things would have to get really bad before enough people would lift their eyes from the game show and the sport and see that actually the world is not like they thought it was, certainly not run by the forces they thought it was. But there's a very positive side to all this. There really is. When I started out in 1990, researching and talking about this, I was laughed at in the street, laughed at on the television, laughed at everywhere I went. And getting anyone to listen to this information was almost impossible. I mean, I've talked to some seriously small audiences, and you think, what's the point? But there always has been a point, and that is that if what you're saying has validity, eventually events will show it to be so. I know a lot of people that are new to this information and have been awakened to a different world by the COVID era. They say, why aren't more people waking up? But because I've been on this path such a long time, I come from a different perspective. Compared with that, there is a phenomenal awakening going on that I was kind of told about 30 years ago was coming, which was an awakening of humanity from the spiritual slumber, from the coma of five sense only perception. And more than any time before, that is happening. Of course, it's not happening to the majority, and a lot of people are going deeper into the coma because of buying the COVID lies and the COVID narrative. But a heck of a lot of people are coming out of it. And, we've had a series of marches in London, and the numbers have just got bigger and bigger and bigger. When people started protesting about the deletion of freedom in the spring of 2020, there was a very few people turned up. And so the police could just sort them out and bring it to an end. But now we've reached the point where the police have got no chance of dealing with the numbers, because we're talking hundreds of thousands of people. We are seeing a very clear division going on between those who are staying in the prison cell coma and those that are emerging from it. Like awakened people can see things that the coma prison cell cannot see, and thus they're making different decisions. So they're not having the fake vaccines that are genetically modifying the population that have them. They're not wearing the masks that are just designed to make us literally faceless and suppress our individuality and drive us apart. They're not falling for the fear of some made-up virus. And of course, there is the great fear among those that are behind this that the awakening will overwhelm their plans to create a global fascist dictatorship.
We are now seeing serious numbers of people realizing a simple truth. The only way this ends is if we, the people, end it. Because this is a long-term plan to transform the nature of human society into a centralized global Orwellian dictatorship. And if we don't stop it, we the people don't stop it, then it will happen. Tyranny is never overthrown, it's never overcome by the majority. They may follow, but it's the minority that start the process. And never in known human history have we been at this point of total global tyranny, and thus never in human history has so much responsibility fallen on those people that can see it. People look at authority and they think, authority has power. I must be intimidated by the power of authority. That dynamic can only happen if the many acquiesce to the few, because this is how it goes. Human acquiescence gives its power to authority. Authority takes that power, our power, and recycles it back against us in fascistic impositions. Most of humanity only sees this bit and perceive authority has power. They don't see that the power that's being used against us is the power we've given away. You see some of these marches in London. I'm sure the authorities don't want them. I'm sure the police would like to stop them. But there's so many people, they can't even start. And this is the dynamic that's going to bring this down, where increasingly vast numbers of people don't just march, but cease to cooperate in all these areas with this fascistic authority. Marches and rallies are wonderful because they are a symbol of public feeling. But if people only march and then go away and still acquiesce to the impositions of authority, nothing changes. When we stop acquiescing, when we use the power of no, then we will see where the power really is. Someone comes out of Downing Street, Johnson, anybody. We've decided this is going to happen. Enough people say, we're not doing it. No, we're not doing that. No, not doing that. And then you see where the power is. Because when enough people say no, it doesn't happen. It can only happen with human acquiescence to authorities' diktats. When we say no, not doing it. So no one wears a mask on a train. No one wears a mask in the store. Okay, what you can do about it, authority? Well, nothing we can do. It's too many people. Exactly. And you know that. That's why you want to divide and rule us, play one part of society off against another. The answer is staring us in the frickin' face. Stop acquiescing with your own enslavement. And if enough people do that, we cannot be enslaved. Never before we've had this number of people awake to the powers that are really running the world and to what end. But we have to move from seeing it to ceasing to cooperate with it. That is the move that will bring the house of cards down, because that's all it is. And who's holding the house of cards up? We are.